Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. As you know, I'm Guy Coviello from the Regional Chamber, and we want to thank Secretary Ross for being with us today. Secretary Ross has had a long history here in the Valley, going back to the 1980s when he founded the International Steel Group, and that company purchased LTV Steel out of bankruptcy and saved quite a few jobs in Warren, Ohio. And it's a pleasure to have him here to deliver more good news for the Valley from the Commerce Department. So with that, I want to introduce Secretary Ross.
Thank you for your swift action in rebuilding our medical and protective equipment supply chains to deal with the COVID-19 emergency. You teamed up with the VA, the FDA, and NIH to optimize 31 personal protective equipment designs for clinical use, including 28 for production by the additive manufacturing community. This was no small feat, and I congratulate each of you for what you've accomplished here in Youngstown and across the Manufacturing USA network. I'm especially pleased to announce that the Department of Commerce is awarding a $1.4 million grant to America Makes from our National Institute of Standards and Technology. This funding will help expand production capacity from 240,000 to 400,000 units of PPE per week using additive and digital manufacturing technologies. Congratulations, and thank you for answering the call during this nation's greatest time of need. We wish you continued success as we progress through the health crisis and into economic recovery. It is my pleasure today to also recognize another standout organization in the Youngstown area. Since 1978, the Mahoning Valley Economic Development Corp has shown incredible leadership in helping more than 1,700 companies create more than 19,000 jobs. The organization serves the business community here in Mahoning County, as well as in nearby Beaver, Lawrence, and Mercer counties in Pennsylvania. So today, I'm proud to present MVEDC with a $5 million CARES Act Recovery Assistance Grant to provide gap financing to small businesses and entrepreneurs adversely affected by the coronavirus pandemic. Our administration is committed to helping businesses and workers get the resources they need to rebound from the challenges caused by this awful disease. In all, we are awarding $6.4 million of aid to support area businesses. This investment comes at a crucial time as Ohio's economy rebounds from the biggest economic shock that I can remember. Thank you for joining us on this special day, and once again, congratulations. I believe that we will have a very sharp V-shaped recovery, assuming that the coronavirus doesn't get totally out of hand. My reasons for that are several. One, the aid that came from federal government this time was much more and much quicker than last time. Second, most of the aid went to individuals and to the small businesses that employ half of all American workers. Last time, most of the money went to fix broken banks, Wall Street, and broken big industrials. Third, the consumer is in much better shape going into this situation than it was in 2008 and 9. Back in 2009, the savings rate got down to about 3%. A month or so ago, it was 31%. Even now, it's 23%. Consumers are saving at an annualized rate of $4.1 trillion. 4.1 trillion with a big T. That's a lot of dry powder. And as things reopen, that will get put into the economy and trigger demand for manufactured products, demand for leisure time activities, and create need for more workers. Consumer, remember, is 70% or thereabouts of our economy. Consumer spending is what led the big recovery under President Trump. Consumer will again lead the recovery coming out of coronavirus. And the good news is, compared to 2008-9, when people were leaving the workforce because they knew there were no jobs, this time 78% of the people who are on furlough believe it will be very short-lived. That's a tremendous difference in consumer confidence. And that's why you're seeing the housing market is starting to expand, automobile sales are starting to expand. Those are the two big capital expenditures the average household makes. And they only do that if they're feeling comfortable about their future. So that's a long-winded answer, but it's a long-winded good question. Final difference is this time there was nothing fundamentally wrong with the economy. If I had been here back in the beginning of March, you know what the discussion would have been? How do you train more workers to fill the jobs that we're having trouble finding workers for? So it was an unusual event, a non-economic event that caused the governments to shut everything down. That's different from a crisis that took years to build up, years of excessive lending. That's much more complicated, much more deep-seated. This is like having an infection. As long as you keep it from invading the whole body, you can cure it. And that's the series of reasons why I believe we can have a V-shaped recovery. Yesterday, the Senate went along with an extension of the CARES Act deadline. It was due to expire on the 1st. They've extended it out to August. That makes hundreds of billions of dollars still available to small businesses who have the need and who, for whatever reason, didn't get their applications in sooner. So that's a big set of money just there.
And the tariff policy, would that impact it?
Well, the tariff policy, the 1st of July is an important day in that 1st of July is the first day of the USMCA. That's the biggest and I think the best trade agreement we've ever made. It has proper rules of origin, meaning it's designed to refocus manufacturing within the three countries. And because 40% or so of the automotive product has to be made with workers earning $16 or more an hour, it will assure we get our fair share of the jobs brought back from Southeast Asia. What had happened under NAFTA, they had defined the rules of origin so narrowly, actually by individual parts, many of which are not even used anymore in cars because technology moved on. And then they made the second mistake of saying any part not covered specifically will be deemed to be made within NAFTA regardless of where it's made. So it was an invitation for technological change to destroy the whole benefit of the rules of origin. That's all gone. The other thing that's gone, this is the first trade agreement that has true enforcement powers and especially has true enforcement for labor. One of the problems in Mexico has been that on a dollar basis, the average Mexican worker is making less than he was 10 years ago because the actual wages in pesos haven't changed much, but peso has deteriorated against the dollar. Now, There's a tripartite commission, 10 representatives from US, 10 from Canada, 10 from Mexico, empowered to go into individual Mexican businesses and investigate whether they're living up to proper labor practices. And if they're not given the ability to go in, they can use that as a fact in determining what to do about it. No trade agreement in the history of the world has ever had that kind of a provision. Dispute resolution is also a much better provision than we ever had before. Environmental is much better than we ever had before. It's also a very improved deal for farmers. Dairy products, milk products, eggs, chickens, in addition, wheat, sorghum, all kinds of products have had relaxed rules for getting into these other countries. And the sanitary and phytosanitary regulations that others had imposed without a scientific basis are now by the boards. So this should be a boon, not just for our manufacturers, but also for our farmers.
For over a century, Farmers National Bank has stood strong. Through booms and busts, peaks and valleys, we've learned to know the seasons and how to grow in each of them. During challenging times, everyone is reminded of the value of solid relationships in both life and business. Farmers, stand strong.